Bonjour, bienvenue. Je m'appelle Madame Metzger, and today we are continuing on with Allez, Viens Level 1 book. We are on Chapter 1, Third Étape. Each chapter is broken into 3 étapes or sections, and today we're going to work on the third étape. We're going to work on expressing our opinions about things, our preferences, our likes and dislikes. We're going to work on some basic activities. And we're going to learn our subject pronouns, I, you, he, she, it, we, you, they, and we're going to talk about ER verbs. We have a lot to do. Let's get started. All right, to say, do you like? Répétez. Tu aimes? Tu aimes? And then you would say what it is you're asking about. Some different expressions to talk about how you feel about different things. Répétez. J'adore. J'aime beaucoup. J'aime bien. J'aime un peu. To make a sentence negative, we need 2 words, a ne and a pas around our verb. Our verb is aime. So répétez, je n'aime pas. Je déteste. There we have that accent aigu, giving it the A sound. Répétez, déteste. J'aime, whatever it is, mais je n'aime pas. Oh, excusez-moi. J'aime, mais j'aime mieux. I like something, but I like something else better. And simply to say I prefer, répétez, je préfère. Je préfère. Excellent. So let's talk about some basic activities that we can say what we like and dislike. I'll get back to that. Répétez, tu aimes dormir, étudier. Notice that the ER end of a word is A sound. Répétez, étudier, voyager, nager, danser, lire. Excellent. Now, when your partner or you're having a conversation, your friend tells how they feel about something, you can react to how they feel about it by saying different things like me too or me neither. Répétez, moi aussi. Moi non plus. Let's say that they like something, but you don't. Répétez, pas moi. Pas moi. Or they don't like something. I don't like up here. I don't like to travel, and you do. You can say, moi si. Excellent. So those are different ways you can start reacting when somebody tells you how they feel about it. You can tell them your reaction with these expressions. All right. So we already went through these. Let's do some more. Now, all of these start with the beginning faire. Faire is the verb to do or to make, and there's lots of expressions with it. So these are called faire expressions. Répétez. Tu aimes faire le ménage? Faire du sport? Faire de l'équitation? That one's hard for people to say at first. Let's break it down. You have an E accent aigu, then you've got your I with your E sound, your A in there, and then whenever you have a T-I-O-N, it's a sillon. So say it after me. Les cuitations. Good. Répétez. Faire de l'équitation. Bravo. Faire les magasins. Remember, our S's are silent, and usually we don't really say the N's either. It's like your mouth is about to say it, but it doesn't. Magasin. Super. More activities. Répétez. Tu aimes Regarder la télé. Sortir avec les copains. Now, we already learned that friends was les amis in the last section. This is another word for friends, les copains. Your amis are your really close friends. Like if you were struggling in a day, you had some problems going on, you would call les amis. Copains are like all your kind of acquaintance friends that you say hi to at school and you enjoy their company, but they're not your close friends. So you have lots of copains and a couple amis if you're lucky. All right, good. Let's keep going. Répétez. Parler au téléphone. Écouter de la musique. Excellent. And again, we're seeing lots of verbs that have this ER ending. And remember that ER ending is an A sound. Again, it's regarder, parler, écouter. We're going to work on making sure that we're pronouncing that correctly. All right, so again, once you ask somebody if they like something, you've got that first slide there to tell you or to give all your different ways that you can feel about something, from being crazy about it to hating it. And then you have the expressions to react when somebody gives their opinion, how you can quickly react and give yours. Bravo. Now we're going to move on and we're going to talk about our subject pronouns. I, you, he, she, we say it, they say one, we, you, and they. And as you look here, we have seen some of these words already in our expressions. So when we said je m'appelle in our names, we've already seen je. Je means I. Or j'ai 15 ans. When we gave our ages, we had the j'ai apostrophe because the next word began with a vowel, but you were saying I am however many years old. So we have seen the je, and we saw it earlier with the j'aime, j'adore, je n'aime pas, I like, I don't like. So we've been seeing je for quite a while. We've also been asking questions with our tu. Tu as quel âge? Comment t'appelles-tu? Tu aimes? So we've been pretty familiar with the you. And remember, this you is only one person, and you're on a first name basis. So it's a friend or somebody your age or younger, a child, something like that. The other you we've seen a couple times, which is vous. Vous is if you're talking to more than one friend, more than one person, or you're being very formal with them and you want to show respect by using vous, like your boss or your teacher. All right, so we've seen these three quite a bit. Now, we've also seen il and il s'appelle Laurent, il s'appelle Boris. His name is Boris, but we were actually saying he calls himself is the expression. And we've seen elle too, and elle s'appelle Sophie. She calls herself. We really in English would say her name is, but literally we were saying she calls herself. So we've already seen the je, tu, il, and elle. Now, on is when you're talking about people in general. And we will discuss that much more later on. But for now, that's what that is. The way we say we, if it's you and others that are talking, we is nous. It rhymes with vous. We're not going to pronounce those S's. And then there are two theys. It depends on who is in the they, what kind of people are involved. If it's all boys or a mix of boys and girls, you're going to use the il. Pluriel is what I normally say because you can't hear the S. So it sounds like he, il. But when you're writing it, it looks different. So I'll usually say something like il pluriel, meaning the they form, or elle pluriel if it's all girls. Let's go ahead and go through the pronunciation. Please répétez je. You hear that E, that alphabet E where you're getting punched in the stomach? Je. Tu. You know how when you say the U, your chin is out a little bit if you're saying it correctly. Tu. Bravo. Il. Elle. On. You don't actually go to the N. Nous. Vous. Il. Elle. Très bien. So we want to work on making sure that we know these subject pronouns. If you need to stop it right now and take your notes in your packet, please do so. Stop this video at any point to take notes. Rewind it if you need to hear it again and practice your pronunciation again. All right. I already talked about all this. Okay, so when you are talking directly with somebody in a conversation, you're either going to be using the tu or the vous usually. Again, the tu is one person, first name basis. Vous is if you're directly talking to a group of people. So you're face to face talking, bloop, 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 right? You're going to use the tu or the vous. Or if you and a friend, let me get my arm in there, you and a friend, here we are talking directly to others, then you and your friend would be like, we like watching TV. Would you like to watch TV with us? We, that would be the nous. Other than that, you are always talking about other people. You're talking about yourself, je. You're talking about one male, il. You're talking about one female, elle. Or you're talking about a group of people. Depends on who's that group, il or elle, pluriel. So you kind of have a group you're talking directly, you're having a conversation, direct conversation back and forth, or you're talking about people. So if you wanted to replace Marie aime la glace, Marie likes ice cream, with the pronoun, which pronoun would you use? Right, you would say she likes ice cream, and the pronoun for she is elle aime la glace. If you had a sentence like Marc déteste l'anglais, Mark hates English, and we wanted to replace Mark, what pronoun would we use? Correct. We would say he hates English, or in French, il déteste l'anglais. If we had a sentence saying Marie et Lulu, both females by the way, aiment le foot, Marie and Lulu like soccer, what pronoun would we use to replace them in English and in French? Right. They like soccer, or elles aiment le foot. Do you hear that liaison? Because we have a vowel and an S that we normally don't hear. We hear a Z sound. Elles aiment le foot. If we had Marc and Marie aiment le sport, Marc and Marie like sports, and we wanted to replace them with a pronoun, what would we use? We would say they like sports, and the they in French, because we have a boy and a girl, is going to be the il pluriel. Ils aiment le sport. If we had Marie et moi aimons le vélo, Marie and I, in English we would say I, not me, but in French it's me. Marie and I like biking. What pronoun would I use to replace that? We like biking, or nous aimons le vélo. Good. Now, if I see a sentence like Marc et toi aimez le ski, we know that toi means you, first name basis. So we're saying Marc and you like skiing. So that means that I'm talking directly to Marc and another person. Marc and you, two people, you guys, I'm talking directly to you, like skiing. Which pronoun would I use if I'm talking to two people directly? Yes, you would use you, but the plural you. Vous aimez le ski. Bravo. Lastly, if I'm talking to Marie, which pronoun am I going to use to say you? Do you like something, Marie? I'm going to use tu. Tu aimes l'école? Do you like school? Tu aimes l'école? But what if I'm talking to Marie and Mark and I want to ask them if they like something? Which pronoun will I use? Correct. Two people, I'm going to use vous. Vous aimez la pizza? Do you like pizza? Excellent. I'm wondering if you've noticed the different endings on M that you're seeing in the different sentences, because we're changing subjects. So the il and l ending is an E, but the L plurial is an ENT. The new ending is ONS, and the VU ending is EZ. We already know the je ending is E and the tu ending is ES because we've been using that since the first étape. That's conjugating. That's when you have to change the verb to match the subject. You do this all the time in English. You just probably have never thought about it. So for example, the verb I like, or I'm sorry, I am. You can't say, the verb is actually to be. Excuse me, the verb is to be. You can't say I to be happy, you to be sad, he to be intelligent. That doesn't work. So you can't use the infinitive to be. You have to conjugate it or change it. And each subject sometimes has a different form. So it's I am happy, you are sad, and he is intelligent. Am, are, is. The verb changes to match the subject, and that's called conjugating. And that's what we're doing here in these sentences. And that's possibly what's next on our list. I might have more pronoun notes, but I wanted to make sure that you saw this, and maybe if you were wondering why, I could explain it. And here we are. Yep, ER verbs. So there are lots of different ways to conjugate depending on the verb. This first group of verbs that we're going to learn how to conjugate is indeed a group, like I just said. Not all of them are. So verbs that end in an E and an R, they all follow a pattern on how to conjugate or change that verb to match up with the subject so that you're conjugating correctly, you're saying the right thing. So first we need to know some words that we're going to be hearing a lot over over all the semester and really all of your different classes of French. So first, an infinitive. What is an infinitive? An infinitive is a verb before we conjugate. So I just gave the example to be. That is an infinitive. And then it conjugates like I am, you are, he is. So before we start changing it to match up, it's called the infinitive. And to conjugate means to change that infinitive, that verb, to agree with the subject. That's conjugating. And I give the example to be. To be, like I've said a couple times now, is an infinitive. In English, it's always to something. To sing, to dance, to be, to do homework, to do housework. Those are infinitives in English. And we can't say I to be, you to be, he to be. That doesn't work. You have to change that infinitive. You have to conjugate it to match. I am, you are, and he is. That's conjugating an infinitive. We're going to work on this a lot. If you need to rewind this and let that sink in, rewind and listen to it as many times as you need to. Now, back to how to conjugate an ER verb. Well, again, like I said, there's hundreds of verbs that end in ER in the French language. It's the biggest group of what we call regular verbs. So we're going to follow a pattern with them. And it's a two-step pattern. First, we're going to take the ER off of the infinitive. And that's going to leave us what we call a stem. La racine. And then we're going to memorize endings for each subject. And we're going to add them to that stem. On va ajouter les terminations à la racine. Oui. So we have to memorize these endings. The je ending is e. The tu ending is es. The il, el, and on ending will always be the same. It's e. The new ending is ons. The vu ending is z. The il and l pluriel are always going to have the same ending also, and it's en te. Now, these are just endings. You haven't done any conjugating yet. They're endings that have to be added to that stem. But to remember the endings, we do have a song. It's to Frère Jacques. Listen, and then the second time you can sing with me. It goes, S, S, O-N-S, O-N-S, O-Z, 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 O-N-T, O-N-T. Hooray! That's going to help you remember those endings. Sing it with me. S, S, O-N-S, O-N-S, O-Z, 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 O-N-T, O-N-T. Hooray! So what does this look like after you do step 1? Let's take the verb parler. Parler au téléphone is one of our new expressions to talk on the phone. It's an ER verb. See the ER ending? Step 1 is to take the air off, and you're left with this stem. All of the subjects need that stem. There's no verb there if you don't have that. Then you add or ajoute les terminations, the endings, and those are memorized. S, S, O-N-S, O-N-S, O-Z, 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 O-N-T, O-N-T. Hooray! Excellent. We're going to be singing that a lot. So what is je parle? Remember E's, ES's, and I'm letting you know that ENTs are silent. We don't hear the endings. They're just there when you spell. Je parle. In English, we actually have 3 ways to say present tense. This is it for French. This is the only way to do present tense for this verb in the je form. But in English, we can say, I speak French. Your teacher yells at you. She thinks you're speaking English. And you say, I am speaking French. To my partner, I am. Or somebody says, oh, you don't speak French. And you can say, yes, I do speak French. So we have 3 different ways in English with slightly different feelings to them to say that speaking is happening right now, present tense. But let me repeat this. You'll never use a helping verb like am or do in present tense in French. There's only one way. Je parle. That's it. Isn't that wonderful? You don't have to worry about learning 3 different ways to do present tense and the differences between them. There's only one way. Je parle. Excellent. And so on and so forth. So you speak would be to parle. Well, to parle means you speak, you are speaking, or you do speak. Any of the 3 can be translated only one way. To parle. Es is silent. And so on and so forth. Il parle. He speaks. He is speaking, or he does speak. Elle parle. She speaks. She is speaking, or she does speak. On parle. One, people in general. One speaks, one is speaking, one does speak. Nous parlons. We speak, we are speaking, or we do speak. Oh, geez. Sorry about that. Vous parlez. You all, you is in a group or somebody formal. Il parle and elle parle. They speak, they are speaking, they do speak. So this is how we are going to conjugate an ER verb. And now that we know the pattern, we can do this with any verb that ends in ER. It's the same pattern. Step 1, take that ER off that infinitive. Step 2, add the appropriate endings according to the subjects that we've memorized. And voila! You can conjugate hundreds of ER verbs. There are some great lessons and different teachers and different songs that you can go onto YouTube. If you just put in YouTube ER verbs or French ER verbs, You will have all kinds of different teachers teaching this lesson to you and lots of different songs that you can listen to if you don't like mine. All right, so what are some ER verbs that we've seen so far? We've seen aimer, to like or to love. It's aimer, it means to like if you're talking about a thing like chocolat, l'anglais, le sport. It actually means to love if you're talking about people. So if I say j'aime David, David is my husband, that means I love David because that is a person. Adorer is to be crazy about or to love something, like to be crazy about it. Like, j'adore ma fille Cara. Aw,
J'adore ma mère.
J'aime Cara. Because she's a person, I can say j'aime Cara, and that means I love Cara. I can also say I adore her. I'm crazy about her. All right. Détester means to hate. So now we know how to conjugate that. We just learned regarder la télévision. So now we can conjugate to watch or to look at. Étudier is to study. Now we can conjugate étudier. Écouter de la musique, to listen to music. Danser, to dance. Manger, to eat. Voyager, to travel. So we have lots of ER verbs that we know how to conjugate now. This is your ER worksheet and translations. We're going to go over this in class. So you need to work on that and you need to fill that out. How can I skip this slide without you seeing it? You know what? I think now is a good time to stop this video. Thank you for joining me. I hope that it all makes sense to you. And if not, watch it again. All right. We will see you guys all soon. So, a bientôt.